I don't like Trump at all, and I need a serious lesson. You're like God, but even God, you have to follow the Chinese law. Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm James. Today, I want to share some very interesting news with you to talk about my perspective about the tariffs right now is happening between US and then China. So first of all, talking about my personal experience, when I am at work, some of my coworkers came to me, hey James, China is doing great, they're standing up, fighting with the US, just before, during the long weekend for Easter, auntie, uncles come, hey James, oh, China, great, they're standing up now, they're fighting to the US for the whole world. So I am shocked. I get it. At this point, a lot of people think that US is bullying the whole world, and then China is doing a great job because China is the only one right now. It seems like they are standing up, fighting with the US. However, let you know first thing, I am not a Trump fan. If you watch my videos before, you know I don't like Trump at all. However, between Trump and then Xi Jinping, I gotta say that China needs a serious lesson. Why? There's so many things I'm gonna explain to you very, very soon. Let's watch this one video first.
The problem is that in this scenario, to use your metaphor, the US has the bigger gun, and so China ends up having more to lose from this trade war, doesn't it? It can't sustain the loss of 15% of its export market, i.e. what you export to the US.
Not at all. China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. Right. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States, and we expect to survive for another 5,000.
Wow, sounds amazing, right? We don't care. We don't care. Chinese policy right now is like that. Not only Chinese government. This guy is a Chinese government people, okay? Not only Chinese government, even almost all the Chinese citizens, they are like so proud of China and they're so proud of everything. They think China is better than anyone in the world. Just imagine if China become the world leading position, if they took the position, if they are the number one, I don't know how this world is going to go. However, the worst for the US is 4 years. If Trump doesn't do anything crazy, he should have only 4 years, and then it will change. But for China, it's forever. Xi Jinping changed constitution. He can be the king forever. Okay, come back to this video. This guy, his name is Victor Gao. If you don't know who that is, Victor Gao was very famous. He used to be the translator for Deng Xiaoping long time ago. His English is perfect, very good. He recently got got a lot of attention because last year, I think I don't remember, August or October, he was in a very famous interview from another media. You guys can go on YouTube to check Victor Gao, okay, interviewed by, okay, I'm not gonna do go that one. So he is someone who is full of crap, okay? Just in this one, you sound like amazing, but hey, everyone, listen to this. I want to tell you this. China, 5,000 years? No. When he's talking about China, let me give you some history, okay? History lesson 1. China, this word used as a country only started in the early 1900s. So it's very new. And right now, when he's talking about China, he means the People's Republic of China, which only exists for 76 years, not 5,000 years. I'm telling you, yes, Chinese history is very long, but this CCP China cannot speak for the whole Chinese 5,000 years. Okay, no. as a Chinese, I don't want that. I don't think CCP's perspective, their goal, present my goal. No, definitely not. So the new China, this new China, the CCP China, only exists for 76 years old. And then when he said that, yeah, we don't care. We don't care. You know why he said that? I am not joking with you. If you know anyone who is Chinese, who knows Chinese, go to Chinese social media. Actually, one of the Chinese leader, a very high level leader, a few years ago said that, I think it was when Trump was the first term, said that we are ready to have this war with the US. Chinese people are ready to eat grass for a whole year so we can beat the US. You know why they don't care? Because those people, they are not going to eat grass. The people who are suffering is the real Chinese people. They are suffering. I know what the real China looks like. I lived there for over 20 years. I took my wife back to my grandparents' hometown. It's horrible, man. The house built by dirt. There's no bathroom there. Okay? So when you go to Beijing, Shanghai, you see those buildings, you think, oh wow, that's China. No, that's not. So when he says, we don't care, of course you don't care. You have your Maotai, the Baijiu Chinese drink, like 1,000 RMB per bottle. And then you have those seafood, everything good for you. And then those government people, when they go to hospital, they have special treatment compared to the Chinese people. Okay? So when they say they don't care, of course they don't care, because they don't care about the death or living for the Chinese normal people. They only care about themselves. And I'm telling you this, a lot of the high-level Chinese government people, their children are living overseas. A lot of their children are actually in the US. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Okay, so when he says that, I'm telling you, this guy is full of crap. So do not just listen to those beautiful words. We don't care. We existed for 5,000 years. There's no United States. I'm telling you, the country, USA doesn't exist. But same thing, CCP China doesn't exist, even shorter than the US history. Okay? CCP China only existed for 76 years. Okay? United States, they have more years, way more years than the CCP China. Okay? So don't listen to those crap. Okay? Before the United States formed as a country, there are already indigenous people live there for thousands of years already. So not only China has the history. Okay? Don't use that. I just don't like Chinese people always use that. We have 5,000, always just proud of that, but actually you are not performing as the ancient Chinese. Those people, they are very respectful. They talk in a very nice manner, good manner tune, not like people now. No, you are not the 5,000 years ago Chinese. No, you're not. Okay? Okay, anyways. So why I told my uncle, I told my coworker, no, we should not support China, because China find all the holes they could find and then get through those holes on the system. I think that's why Trump is trying to deal with China now, because 20 years ago, before the US introduced China to WTO, China actually promised lots of things. Okay? For example, they promised that human rights, so we will give our worker enough right so they can work only 5 days a week. But now, yes, by law, it's 5 days a week. But the working culture in China, if you lived in China, not as a tourist, if you're a tourist in China, you don't know how many days Chinese people work. I'm telling you, there's a word called 996, 996, which means 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. That's how much Chinese people are working. One of my best friends, he's planning to have a YouTube channel too. So he's in China. So I was talking with him, and then he said, okay, my job is pretty good now. I only work Monday to Saturday, and then I don't need to do extra work. I said, oh man, you work 6 days a week, and then you think it's already very good work. That's how Chinese people can suffer. Chinese people are so naive in this way. When I'm talking about that, I want to cry for them. Really, I want to cry for them. Those people are so innocent. A lot of Chinese are so innocent, so naive. They are just, Chinese government is the worst. Okay? Anyways, so there's no labor's right in China. And, those electric cars, Chinese people always say like Tesla is bad, blah, 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 Apple is bad. And then the government gave all those companies money to support them, to make them big. And then they sell those cheap electric cars to Europe, to US. And then after they take over the whole market, and then they will raise the price. That's how they do business. But WTO doesn't allow that. It should be a free market. Government should not get involved with free market. Okay? China lied to the whole world. You may not know this. That's why today I'm telling you all those details. Okay? That is, I was talking about Chinese human rights. Okay? So, another very important person to me, I love Singapore, the country is Singapore. I love Singapore, this country, okay? Singapore's former first lady, that's called former first lady because the prime minister before this one, his wife just reposted one article on Facebook, okay? In this article, it says very clear that China would hold more sway in the world today if Xi Jinping hasn't been a mobster for the past 12 years. Okay, this article, I'm putting this link here. You guys can have a look of this article. It talks so well that China has been bullying all the country around, like Vietnam, Cambodia, like Nepal, the Philippines, all those countries, because China claimed the South China Sea belong to China. But now, because US is having fight with China for the tariffs, Xi Jinping just went to those countries, trying to make deal with them. He went to Malaysia, Vietnam, I think lots of those countries. So he has been bullying those countries for years. And now he's trying to take over, trying to ask them to be on his side. Okay. So, another news from Korean news reporters, okay? Korea just found out a lot of Chinese goods in Korea, which almost big amount of that is shipping to the US. You know why? Because US has a problem with China, right? So China ship all those things to South Korea, retag it, become made Korea, and then ship to the US. So they don't have to pay the tax. Okay? I'm telling you this. China just turned down the Boeing aircraft. Okay? They think, okay, we're beating US economy. We turned down their business. Okay. So China also raised up their tax for the US import, right? So if they want to import anything from US, they have to pay more tax. However, I'm telling you this, just wait and see. China will register other companies in lots of other countries, probably the lowest tax between US and that country. China will have a company in that country, import the US stuff from US to that country and ship to China. That's how Chinese government is going to do business. If there's any way they can find a hole, they will take the chance. They won't have mercy to anyone else. Imagine if one day the world is led by China. I have another question. If the world economy is getting better, why people are buying cheaper and cheaper stuff? Why people are buying cheaper and cheaper made in China crappy stuff? I'm a Chinese. Yes, I do buy made in China stuff because there's no much options. But really, I'm okay with buying made in Canada. When I went to Vancouver Island, visited my friend, I went to a local store. I actually bought a made in Canada baseball a hat for my friend. I said, come on, man, you deserve to own a made in Canada stuff. Not everything made in China, cheap shit. You have money. You have a nice house. Your family has money. You don't need to buy cheap stuff. So this is something I don't understand. Why people you have the money. Why we have to buy the cheapest things? So before I've been talking about the human rights, okay, and how Chinese government doing business. They use South Korea. They use other countries. You know what? Human has no rights in China, but that's not the worst. Not only human, even God has no right. Why? Let's read this. Let's watch this news.
Another question from Reuters. The 14th Dalai Lama has published a new book called Voice for the Voiceless. He says that his successor will be born outside of China in, quote, the free world, unquote. And he writes that Tibet is, quote, still in the grip of repressive communist Chinese rule, unquote. And that the campaign for the freedom of the Tibetan people would continue no matter what, even after his death. Do you have any comment on his comments in the book?
14世达赖是一个披着宗教外衣从事反华分裂活动的政治流亡者，根本无权代表西藏人民。西藏经济蓬勃发展，社会稳定，文化繁荣，人民生活不断改善，这是有目共睹的事实。关于达赖转世的问题，活佛转世是藏传佛教特有的传承方式，有固定的宗教仪轨和历史定制。达赖喇嘛活佛传承世系形成发展于中国西藏，其宗教地位和名号也是由中央政府确定的，已经有几百年的历史。14世达赖本人就是按照宗教仪轨和历史定制寻访认定，报请当时的中央政府批准继位的。中国政府颁布有《宗教事务条例》和《藏传佛教活佛转世管理办法》，尊重和保护藏传佛教这一传承方式。包括达赖喇嘛在内的活佛转世都应当遵守国家的法律法规，遵循宗教仪轨、历史定制，按照国内寻访、经评撤迁、中央政府批准的方式产生。
Isn't that amazing, guys? Okay? She answered in Chinese, but I put English subtitles there, so you can read it again. So in her answer, she said it very clearly that even Dalai Lama, you're like God, but even God, you have to follow the Chinese law. The funny thing is, see, she mentioned that again. The central government had these rules for hundreds of years. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Excuse me, Chinese central government, right now, the CCP central government only exists for 76 years. The hundreds of years you were talking was not yours. Okay, was not your rules. Okay? So why you are judging everything based on the rules that are not made even by you? Now, you are the one, the Chinese government is the one who is telling a religion leader that it doesn't matter what you do, you have to follow my law. Okay? If you don't follow my law, you are not the freaking religion leader. You are just a traitor. That's literally what they said. So I don't know how many my audience you believe in anything. If you believe in any religion, will you support a government like that? Will you think CCP is doing a great job? Okay. She said the first, Dalai Lama couldn't represent of the whole Tibetan people. No, he never said he is presenting for the whole Tibetan people. He is that beliefs leader. It's like the Pope. He is just the leader of that belief. He's not represent all the people who lived in China, who lived in Tibet. There are so many Han people live there. And everyone, listen to this. I have been to Tibet with my wife. Okay? I'm telling you, when we were traveling with the Tibetan driver, the driver is so nice to us. But every time if we talk about the government, you can tell the fear in his eyes. He's not willing to talk about that. And then, every city will have a nickname, like Kunming, we call it the spring city, the city of spring. Or, every city will have a special name, right? You know what's the special name for Tibet, Lhasa? Lhasa's special name is, Lhasa is the captain of Tibet, okay? Lhasa's nickname is the military city. There's so many armies around that city. That's why we call it Juncheng, military city. Okay? So in China, not only human rights, you don't even have God right. Okay? So if you think Donald Trump is horrible, okay, we should support China because China is standing up. Oh, let me tell you this. If one day China is leading the whole world, your religion, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter. Like you are the Pope or you are the, I don't know, like any other, I'm sorry, I don't believe in anything. But if any religion leaders, you have to follow the Chinese central government's law. Rules are rules. We don't care who you are. We don't care what you believe in. Okay? That's, if you let China to lead the world, that's the world is going to be like in the future. Please think of that. Okay? Today, this is my topic. I want to talk about that. I want to share all those information. In the future, I will share more and more with you guys. Okay. If you have anything, any thoughts, comment, let's discuss about that. Thank you very much for watching. I see you next time.